Okay.
Hi, my name's Debbie, and I'm here to talk to you about my daughter. You know, as I look out at all you, my mind wanders back to my daughter. It's hard to explain to people how my mind works these days. I don't even understand how I can talk about it, because my mind never stops thinking about Heather. You see, I've lost Heather to domestic violence. She was murdered. Murdered is such an ugly word, but it doesn't even begin to describe what he did to her. It's hard to talk about it. I feel it's really important that I'm blunt and I'm straightforward. So some of the things that you're going to hear won't be easy. I can say that Heather was a wonderful young woman. She was involved in sports from what seems like the very first day she walked. She was a good student, a great friend, and Heather loved her family. Heather started dating him right before she graduated from high school. I knew from the beginning that there was something wrong with their relationship. He never wanted to come to the house. He would just drive up and she'd go out to the car. Or she would just drive and meet him somewhere. She said that they were just friends at the beginning, and I had no reason to be concerned. But something kept telling me it wasn't right. It took a long time before Heather would come to me and tell me that he had been beating her. I'm like any other parent. My heart sank and my emotions ran wild. Heather would ask me not to do anything. She just wanted it all to go away. I asked myself today why I gave in to that, and all I can say is, I love Heather. If letting it go was what she wanted, then so be it. Heather was 18, she still lived at home. So that put me between a rock and a hard place when it came to laying down the law when she went back to him. I wanted to keep her close. I wanted to protect her. I wanted her to know that she always had a safe place to come home to. The beatings continued, and she finally decided to press charges. He was arrested, but in an attempt to get her to drop those charges, he pulled her back in. His temper got the best of him right before they went to court, and there would be another beating. This time, when she came home, she hid her bruises for days before she showed them to me. When she finally did, I felt sick. That's my baby girl. I'm supposed to protect her. There were the bruises. She had a concussion, but that wasn't all. Throughout their whole relationship, she was being mentally abused. But she said that that was the last straw. She was through. She had had enough. It's important for you to know that when she was with him, she was a totally different person. She wasn't that happy-go-lucky person that everybody knew. Heather loved her family and friends. She loved a good joke, and she was always laughing. She took pride in the way she looked, and she was always there for her friends. But that wasn't the case when they were together. It was just the opposite. She was always upset to the point where she couldn't eat, and when she did, it wasn't much. She didn't care about her appearance anymore. But most of all, she distanced herself from her family and her friends. To give you an idea of what kind of friend Heather was, we were home watching television one night when her phone rang. She talked on it for a couple minutes, then she got up to leave. And I said, Heather, where are you going? She said, well, a friend needs a ride home. I'll be right back. And I said, Heather, you can't afford gas every time your friends call and they need a ride. And she just stopped and looked at me and said, but Mom, that's what friends do. Friends are there for each other. What could I say to that? But when she was kept from being that kind and thoughtful person that we all knew, it hurt. No one knew what they were supposed to do. Were we supposed to be angry? Or were we supposed to be scared because we knew that she went back to him? Don't get me wrong. We all talked to Heather and told her how we felt about the relationship. And when she wasn't with him, Heather listened to everything we said. She never disagreed, never argued. She knew Heather was listening. She was smart. She was athletic. She was beautiful. So why did she keep going back to him? She was accepted to IU, and she was so excited. Heather and her cousin had been planning to go to college together for years. Everything was coming and falling into place. They were going to be roommates. They even got the air-conditioned dorm. Life was good. She was given a grant, a scholarship. They were like two kids in a candy store. They were all giddy and happy. But that all would change. You see, when you're in a destructive relationship, you lose control of your life. Heather's grades started to drop because she was missing her classes. He would drive down to Bloomington from Indianapolis and pick her up, bring her back to Indianapolis, but he wouldn't take her back to school. Heather would wait a day or two, and she'd call me or she'd call her dad, and she'd ask for a ride. Heather didn't wait because she thought we'd be mad at her. She waited because she was embarrassed. She was ashamed. She had given in to him again. Needless to say, she left school. A dream of hers that would never be fulfilled. She was home now, so she needed to get a job. She did, but that didn't last long either. You're not allowed to have a job, make new friends. And there's that word, control. Heather got contacted by a community college to play basketball. They offered her a full scholarship and was only going by what her coaches had told them. We went there, we went through the school. It was everything Heather needed, a new beginning, away from home, a new start. But that would never happen. Control. I'll never understand what happened that afternoon when Heather walked out the front door, never to come home again. I didn't know it then, but that was the last day I would ever see her. And my life would change forever. Heather was 20 now. She was a young woman, but she still lived with me. She would call me, she would text me. I didn't have any reason to be concerned. But then they stopped. I knew something was wrong. I waited, and then I called the police, and I reported her missing. That's when my world went dark. I was home with my sister one weekend. She decided to spend it with me because I was a nervous wreck. We saw headlights coming up the driveway. She looked out the window and said it looked like a police car. I didn't think anything of it. I work for the police. Just one of my friends coming by to check up on me. Until she opened that front door. In stepped our missing persons lieutenant, followed by the chaplain. Everything went black. I only know what happened after that because people told me. You know, you hear of people who can't remember tragic things that happened in their life. And you wonder if that's really happens, if that's really true. I can tell you, I can't remember a lot of that night. Even when people tell me I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember this. My cousin sitting across from me, holding my hands and telling me she wanted me to hear what happened to Heather before I saw it on the news or I read it in the paper. He stabbed her. Then he took her body and he stuffed her in a trash can. He poured gasoline on her. And then he set her on fire. That wasn't enough. He took a chainsaw. He cut her up in pieces. He put her in trash bags. And he drove around the south side of Indianapolis, throwing her in dumpsters. He threw my daughter away like she was trash. I'll never hold her again. I didn't get to say goodbye. I don't get to look at her and tell her I love her. Heather told me not to worry about her, that she could take care of herself. I'm her mom. I was supposed to take care of her. I was supposed to protect her. Now my life is a nightmare that I never wake up from. So here I am, standing before all of you in hopes that I can make you understand. Because Heather would want that. She had walked into our living room one afternoon out of the clear blue. She stopped and looked at me and she said, "You know, Mom, I believe I was put on this earth to help people. By me being here today, Heather lives on. By telling her story, she lives on. If you are ever in a relationship and that word abuse comes into your head, you're being abused. You should never think about abuse when you're in a relationship. Please remember, you can't change your abuser. They need professional help. You are not the person that's going to change an abuser. You guys are in 7th grade. You have a lot of life ahead of you. You're going to learn that there's a whole world of good people out there. People that are going to make you happy and smile. Don't settle for less. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, there is all kinds of resources for you to turn to get help. Don't judge them. Be their friend. You know, I'm not a professional speaker, so everything I say to you comes from my heart. If you are being abused, please get help. It's not easy to do that on your own, to walk away from an abuser, because they have that power to control you. When I say that they control you, I mean they're going to control where you go, what you do, who you talk to, who your friends are. Think about your friends. Those are the people you go out to dinner with, you go to the movie with, you go to ball games with. Those are the people that you sit around and you tell them all your deep, dark secrets. And they listen. Do you really want to walk away from your friends to be with somebody who's going to take all of your self-worth away? Heather never thought she would be here today. I knew he wasn't a good person, and I knew nothing good was ever going to come from their relationship. But do you think that I ever dreamed I would get that knock on my door? Nobody ever wants to think that they're with somebody that's capable of hurting them. You know, it's in our nature to see the good in people and believe that they can change. They need professional help. You know, I look out at all of you. And I see bright and I see promising lives. But I also know at this age, sometimes you believe you have all the answers, that you have everything under control, that you don't need help. Heather thought that, but where is she today? My hope is by standing here, no matter how painful it is, no matter how much my heart is hurting, I hope you're listening, that you're hearing my words. You look at me and you see my loss. You will never understand what it feels like to lose somebody the way that I lost Heather. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like this. How many times do you guys think you hear those words, domestic violence? I hear them every day. I heard them all the time, and I didn't pay much attention. But what do you think those two words mean to me now? I don't know how long I sat in our living room looking at Heather's pictures after it happened, and talking to her. And as crazy as it may sound, I felt like one day she spoke back. She told me I had to tell her story, that I had to help someone or everyone from that happening to them. So I became Heather's voice. I want you all to believe in yourself. Be true to yourself. And don't ever doubt that you aren't in control of your own destiny. You know, throughout everything I just said, there were the signs that Heather was in that abusive relationship. Education. Like I said, they don't want you to better yourself, to have a career and make new friends. Distance. The distance from her family and friends. Appearance. You aren't going to go very many places, so you're not going to care anymore. Health. You don't eat. You feel sick. You're stressed. And your mental health is going to suffer. and dreams. Your dreams are about to change. Not because you changed them, because somebody changed them for you. This doesn't get any easier. But it's important that I come and I talk to you. Heather used to say that I talked a lot and I babbled a lot and I repeated myself. So sometimes I stop talking and I ask you to ask me questions. Feel free to ask me anything. It doesn't have to be on that piece of paper. You can ask me anything you want to know. How could I possibly be hurt any more than I already have been? So feel free to ask me any questions now. Yes.
What choices did you have?
What choices did I have? If you're talking about forgiveness or revenge, yeah, I have a choice. Do I want revenge on him? Would I take revenge on him? No, that's not who I am. I am not him. I would not lower myself to be him. Do I forgive him? I am going to be honest and say no. And I say no because he knew what he was doing. He planned what he was doing. And to this day, he doesn't care what he did. He believes it was Heather's fault. So, do I forgive him? I'm not there. I mean, the people that are able to forgive, I commend them. I think it takes a really strong person at times to forgive somebody and move on. I have moved on by telling Heather's story, but knowing what he did to Heather and believing that he would do that again without even a blink of an eye, I just can't forgive him. Somebody else had their, yes.
Is this man in jail?
He is in prison. He got the maximum sentence for murder, which was 65 years.